So let's start our training session for today. So today I'll not be lifting any weight. All I'll do is work on my stamina, work on my endurance, work on my mobility, work on my balance. So I actually start my training with a lot of warm up, with a lot of stamina, with a lot of endurance training because sometimes I don't like to lift weights, and by not lifting weight I actually recover a lot faster. I get a complete day off of strength training. So those days I actually used to work a lot on endurance, stamina, combat stamina. So this video is all about working on my strength and stamina. So this is how I actually work on a heavy bag to condition my knuckles, to condition my shoulders, actually feel how it feels like punching something that's hard. So this is how I train. So in this video you will see how I work on these things, and while going forward I'll tell you a lot about balance and stability. There is an old saying, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war. But one thing that I learned in the past many years is that there are different kinds of stamina. Stamina that you can gain from cycling, gain from running, gain from playing different kind of sports like football, basketball. All these sports leads up to one thing, that you gain a lot of stamina. But there's a different kind of stamina that is called combat stamina. And the best way to improve your combat stamina is by doing things that are nearest and closest to combat. Because no matter how much you don't want to fight, no matter how much you avoid fighting, you avoid combat, sometimes things can come down to only one thing, that the person standing against you won't give you the option to not fight, and there is no option left but to fight. There is a philosophy behind my training, and the philosophy is I will not do any kind of exercise or any kind of movement if that exercise or movement is not helping me in any practical way. I will not do anything to look good in front of the mirror. I will not do anything to impress anybody. The only reason of training, and the only reason there should be, and there should be, because I believe life is less of a bodybuilding contest but more of a wrestling contest. So we all know how to train for a wrestling match is to become stronger, because we don't know, a person can be more muscular and a person can be a more leaner, but the person who will have all the attributes of a practical training will win the fight. Imagine you are training for a war but you want to look good. So we must cut down the bad part so that we can add the new part and the good part in our training. That's the only reason we all should train. And that's my personal belief, that I train like this. I'm not questioning that that's the only reason you should train, but that's my personal belief of training for the past many years, that why the hell I'm trying to impress people that have nothing to do in my life. I should be able to do practical things. There are people in my life that I care about. There are people in my life that might be in that situation where I can help them, where I can protect them. And the only reason I should train is to be capable of defending my own self and defending the people around me. And if I'm not capable of doing that, then I should work towards improving my own self, so that in future I can do that. But if I am training to just look good, I think there's nothing more meaner than that. You all will be surprised to know that how helpless a bodybuilder is in front of a wrestler, in front of a boxer, in front of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player, in front of any combat athlete. Bodybuilder is even helpless in front of a sprinter, in front of a distance runner. I don't know why you all people are so fascinated by the idea that you will build muscle. Fitness is lot more than that. We all must go beyond just building size and building muscle. Because if you will train under isolation for many years, you will lose the touch, you will lose the movement that you were born with, you will lose the rhythm of your body. You won't be able to run, you won't be able to jog, you won't be able to jump, you won't be able to even dance. Everything has a rhythm. So stop. I'm not saying don't train your muscle, but add a lot. Hitting a heavy bag is like a test of my fitness. I get to know how strong I am, how long can I sustain in a fight, how many punches I can hit. Even if I hit somebody, how can I protect my knuckles? My body is conditioned to take a hit, or my body is conditioned enough to hit for longer durations. Can I sustain a high intensity interval training? It's a more of a practical training. This is what's going to happen if something goes wrong. It can happen, and it happens in everyday life, but we don't prepare for it. And the reason of doing this is that I want to improve myself, and I don't want to just look good, I want to perform good. My inspiration will always be to perform better and to improve myself and to keep on going beyond of who I am today. So after working on stamina, endurance and warm up, I will shift to stability and balance. Both stability and balance is equally important for your training, because once a person is aware and know how to protect himself from injuries, the chances of getting injured is very less and the progress will be more, and he can train for longer durations, he can continue his training for more time, he can play for longer periods, his playing life will be more, his his journey as an athlete will be much longer. That's why most of the athletes that are at the top of their game work on their balance and stability, because they don't want to get injured. LeBron James works on his stability and balance from the time he's been in NBA. That's why he is still one of the oldest players in the NBA, but still playing at the highest level and still one of the best players. The same can goes for Cristiano. The same can goes for other athletes. But we must include these kind of exercises. Here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to protect my knee. I'm trying to strengthen my knee. I'm trying to strengthen my ankle. I'm trying to strengthen my whole foot. I'm doing different variations with different weights, but the thing I'm trying to do is similar but the weights are different, but the process is very similar. You bend your knee, the whole pressure of your weight is on your knee and your ankle, on your frontal shin bone. It's one of the best exercise. Here I'm trying to balance it on one foot for a longer duration. So now to increase the level of difficulty, I always move the weight. The same weight I'm carrying, now I'm going to move it. By moving the weight, first thing that it does is it forces me to engage my core in the process. The whole lower back, the obliques, my abs, and even the pressure on my knees, the pressure on my foot, the pressure on my ankles is much more than that. Now I have to force myself to stabilize, force myself really hard to stick on the same position, stand on it, because my whole upper body is moving. Now my foot will be in a very difficult situation, and it will be very difficult for my single leg to create stability. But that's how I can improve my stability, because if any of you have ever been or ever been a part of any injury or ever been through ankle sprains, you will realize that once you get injured, now the possibility and chances of you getting an ankle injury or getting a sprained ankle increases a lot more. So the percentage of getting injured after a previous injury is much more. So those people who have dealt with a lot of injuries in the past, you all need to do this, because always I always had to deal with these injuries in the past, because I was playing football, I was playing basketball, and both these sports are very high on dynamic movements. You have to change angles, and you have these contact sports will always put a lot of pressure on your ankles, because you're not moving in a straight line. You're moving in different directions, and you are unaware where you're going to move, because the ball dictates how you're going to move. You alone don't dictate. The movement is not static, the movement is not pre planned. It's a dynamic movement. You actually don't know where you're going to move or where your teammates is going to be. So that's why I prefer doing these exercises now, because these exercises are actually very helpful. So you all must include these exercises. But one thing that I always keep in mind is to not load myself really heavy, to not hold a very heavy load. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create stability, I'm not trying to gain strength from weights. Here, my only objective is to create balance and stability. And if you really want to go a step up, use the same weight, start moving that weight. Start jumping on the same weight, even on one leg or on second leg or on both the legs. You will create a lot of strength on your ligaments. You will generate a lot of single leg strength. You can jump higher, you can run faster, and all you can do all these things, and you can do it for longer periods. So your playing life or your career as a professional athlete will increase a lot. This all is basic stuff. So whenever I feel tired by doing this exercise, I try to do some basic movements like squat, how to use the bar while squatting, how to use the bar like the weightlifters do as a warm up exercise. So I do these kind of exercises too. But most of my training of stability is only done barefoot, because you cannot use shoes to create stability, because we need to know how our feet are moving, how we are moving our foot while we are doing stability exercises. And you need to see how your feet vibrates, how small movements they do, how they create balance. There's a very minute movement from your feet when you do all these stability exercises. It's not always the size or the weight of the plates that you are using. Sometimes it's the way that you are using those weights, how you are using the weights in the gym for maximizing the benefits that you can take from them. So this is how you need to be very specific. You need to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding how things work, and what's your personal objective of training in the weight room. And there are different ways to train. You need to be very specific, and you need to have an objective before going to the gym. And what's your goal, what's your objective outside gym, and do the weights are helping you to achieve your objective. So to these kind of exercises, like what I'm trying to do right now, is like basic explosive work to improve my jump. So this is also the same exercise but with a little heavier load. So these weights are actually 17.5 kgs of dumbbells in each hand. So a total of 35 kgs I'm holding in my hands on a single leg. This might seem easy, this might look easy to you, but it's actually very difficult. And by doing this, you will realize that how weak you are in your balance and stability. It will reveal your weakness, because it revealed to me that I need to work on my balance and stability. I have never worked on it, but now I'm working on it, and actually, I am getting to know that I need to work on it more to get stronger, to get faster, to jump higher, to become more explosive. I need to have a lot of balance and stability in me. So that's why it's one of the best exercise for practical beneficial use. You need to work on this. If you feel that you need to improve your stability, if you feel you don't have that much strength in your knees, If you are dealing with a lot of injuries, if you're dealing with a lot of ankle injuries, then you need to specifically work on those areas. You can't just say that you will gain those strength and you won't run, you won't walk. Walking and running is the basic movement. So you need to strengthen your muscles, strengthen your ligaments, because these are very important in your basic movements. And it's very simple, you don't need to. And actually now you can see that to make it more difficult, I close my eyes, because when you close one of your senses, things become even more difficult, because eyes gives us the ability to stand, to understand our surroundings. But once you close your eyes, it's more difficult to balance and stabilize yourself. You will realize once you will do it. So closing your eyes makes it even more difficult. That's why I prefer doing these kind of drills, because I really want to improve as an athlete, as a human being, as a fitness enthusiast. So that's why I'm training like this. It's a very professional kind of training. So this exercise is known as Lu raises, because a Chinese weightlifter by the name Lu Xiaojun used to do this a lot during his training. It's a side exercise for shoulder strength. Actually, the real name is deltoid raises, but Lu invented this exercise for shoulder strength, so people used to call this nowadays Lu raises. Most of the weightlifters around the world learn from Lu and to gain shoulder strength, because they need a lot of shoulder strength, because they hold a lot of weight during shoulder press. So that's why I take anything that I can learn from one of the elite, one of the greatest athletes, I include it in my training, and that's what I can suggest to you all. So if you like my training, then share, subscribe.